Hey, do you guys ever end up doing something kind of creative when it's literally almost bedtime? Because that's literally me right now. I feel like decorating my little incense tin case. So I ended up buying these Muji incense sticks in green tea, and I ended up buying a matching incense holder. It didn't really come with any ash catcher or anything like that, but luckily I had this tin case that kind of fit the incense perfectly. But this is quite boring, so I feel like decorating it with some stickers would be pretty cool, you know, in good Alyssa fashion. So currently I have like a box full of stickers. And if you guys ask me if there's any particular design or anything that I'm following to doing this, absolutely nothing. I'm literally just going to do it as I go. I feel like that's a lot more enjoyable. Done. Very, very cute. Please don't be stupid like me and not buy sunscreen, especially when it's peak summer in Australia or New Zealand, or else your shoulders will look like this. Most of the time I was in the shade anyways, so I didn't realize that I would get this sunburn. Please be sun safe. So freaking hot. It's crazy. I think my thoughts around the Art Gallery of New South Wales, it was pretty nice. Like, it had a lot of really cool paintings, and I always love browsing through those types of museums and being able to immerse myself in each of the paintings. I definitely feel like I would have spent hours in there, but we ended up leaving because we got a little bit hungry afterwards. I was able to see a Monet painting in real life, which I didn't think I would see. I just remember having her paintings like downloaded on my phone and having it as my screen wallpaper. Hello. Sorry for looking like a mess. I just got home and it's a very long day, but let's take a look at what I got. So these are the things that I got from the art gallery of New South Wales. They had a bunch of like books and postcard section that were on sale, which I decided to have a look, and I'm so happy I did because I grabbed some random stuff. This one's of the concrete Los Angeles map. I know nothing about LA actually, but I thought that this would be really cool to display in my room. I think one day this would be really cool to put in like a frame or something. For $8, and on the other side I think it shows some of the staple buildings around LA. Please correct me if I'm wrong. The other one that I got that was also on sale was Map, Mask, and Postcards. Andy Warhol's time in New York from 1948 to 1987. I mean, obviously I love some of his work. He's pretty iconic. I mean, if I get tired of this, I might make use of this paper for my junk journaling. Some postcards here. What is this? I have no idea what this is, but it looks like this. This one's pretty cool too. It's a postcard. I think display this on my wall. I think this is another, I guess, map. Okay, this is pretty cool actually. Yeah, so I guess it gives some of like places to go. So I'm not sure if some of these places are still there. I'd love to take note of some of the places that are mentioned here and see if they're still there. The other things I got, they cost around $2 AUD. I got this one, which is by Margaret Preston, and it's called Still Life with Teapot and Daisies. I do love a good pastel painting. And I also got this one, which is interesting name, Peasant's House in Eragny by Camille Pissarro. I feel like I remember downloading this specific image and having it as my phone wallpaper, which I guess is pretty cool. Now I have a postcard version of it. Matchbox houses here. Yeah, it's here. Yeah, and then could I also please get one brown and also that cookie over there, the one in the middle? Yeah.
Street lights, car ride to spots that no one knows. Good hugs and hot mugs, blankets in the cold. They're the things reminding me living life is pretty neat. And across my mind on the reasons why it's a lesson just to do.
Now this bookstore has probably become one of my favorite bookstores here in Sydney. It's the Burkler bookstore out in Paddington. This bookstore spans 3 stories filled with new books that you can absolutely spend hours in. But if you actually go up the stairs, they sell secondhand books as well, and also have a cafe where you can just sit down and chill and read some of the books that they have there, or bring your own.
The part I am seeing, I know it's worth everything. Just me and you, my sweet darling. Done everything to here.
This is the best it could be.
Okay. Is this the way to kill?
Yes, this is the elevator on the left side to the 18th.
18 floor, okay. Thank you. Hello. Sorry that your view of me consists of me either sitting on my desk or crouching down doing my makeup, but this is just my reality nowadays. Today we're going to be headed to Newtown to look through a bunch of thrift shops and also look for some secondhand books, since if you could probably tell, I've been kind of on the hunt for collecting some books that are sounding quite interesting to me at the moment, or you know, based off of my current TBR list. Newtown has a bunch of like bookstores that's a mixture of new and also secondhand.
Before I bore you to death, tell me when can I see you, baby? I'll drop by your satellite. Love me when you can turn off your cell phone. Tell me why.
So let's quickly talk about all of the books that I bought between January and this month. As you can see, I bought quite a lot of books here with me. So firstly, let's talk about the classics. I ended up getting this from a variety of bookshops, both from secondhand bookstores, bookstalls, and also just normal bookstores. So I ended up getting Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar, which I'm going to talk a little bit about later. I think I bought it for $5 or $10. I think it was $5 actually, from a stall from Newtown. At the Berkeley bookstore in Paddington, I ended up buying this book, A Room with a View by E.M. Forster. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good reviews about this book, which was why I purchased it. I think this is more of a light-hearted comedic read, which would be a very good book to read after reading a bunch of like dark novels. So yeah, can't wait to read this one as well. I ended up getting this one from Elizabeth's bookstore. It's The Waves by Virginia Woolf. Partly I bought this because the book looks gorgeous with this cover. I've never actually read Virginia Woolf before, and I am kind of trying out different genres, and which, as you can see, I've been into reading classics lately, so I think this would be an interesting read. Apparently this book might be a little hard to follow though, but I'm going to try my best and read this book. I mean, it doesn't look that big. What I really love about buying secondhand books is seeing all of the little surprises, you know, people's annotations back in the day, such as this one, which I just really love seeing. I love reading about people's thoughts around the book. I ended up also picking up from the same bookstore is Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. Obviously, you guys know this is a absolute classic, so I've been quite curious. Also, I ended up buying The Odyssey by Homer. It's translated by Walter Scheuring. Now, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I never really did history back in high school, and I've kind of just been on this phase of reading books that we would have probably studied back then, but you know, out of pure enjoyment. I only know a little bit about Greek mythology. I'm very interested in reading this. I do know that the translation of this book matters, but I'm not too sure if the one that I got is the best, but you know, I'll still give it a try. I bought this one partially because of its cover, because it looks a little creepy. It's by Christina Steed, The Man Who Loved Children. After looking at the reviews of this book online, I don't think the characters in these books are likable, so this is gonna be an interesting read. It is quite a thick one though. Okay, and finally I got Joanne Didion's Play It As It Lays, and it's with this really gorgeous cover. I haven't read any of her works before, but I did have Slouching Towards Bethlehem in my TBR list. This was from Raft Books in Newtown, and she always has such a good collection of books out in display and for sale. With that being said, now let's talk about the books that I've read this month and also a little bit towards the end of January. Firstly, I read Sally Rooney's Intermezzo. I actually finished this within a week. I just really love the way that Rooney writes, so I think that's also part of the reason why I kind of just devoured it. In terms of this book, I really like it. If you've read Rooney's books before, you already know the way that she writes. She just writes very well in terms of like character dialogue and the way that she portrays relationships, but this one's not really a romance book, so just beware of that. If you're looking for any romance, this isn't really about romance. It's more about portraying complex, familiar relationship. In terms of my quick review of this book, I'm obviously no expert, but the plot is about two brothers who are navigating life after their father's death. Firstly, we have Peter, who's a 32-year-old, very successful lawyer who seems to be kind of perfect on the inside, but later on we find out that he actually deals with some pretty serious, I guess, mental health stuff, as well as dealing with complex, I guess, relationships. Then we also have the younger brother, Ivan, who's an awkward chess prodigy. For each chapter, it kind of swaps perspectives between Peter and Ivan, and also occasionally Margaret, who has a current relationship with Ivan. I found the first chapter to be quite challenging to read because of the way she wrote Peter's perspective. It's as if it was his constant stream of thoughts, which I was initially confused about until I realized that it was intentional. Overall, I really liked it. Rooney's just very good at expressing emotions in such a raw and realistic way. Like, I do have quite a few quotes here highlighted because it just connected to me so much, even though I myself am an only child. I also like how in Rooney's books, there's not really a good character, so to speak. Everyone's got their own flaws, but yet you end up sympathizing with both of the characters because you do end up getting both sides of the story here. On the first half, actually, I didn't really like Peter as a character, but in the second half, my opinion of him kind of shifted. Even though he was not really perfect, I kind of understood some of the issues that he had. Overall, I really liked this book. The second one that I read was 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤. I feel like I have mixed feelings about this book. Yes, it did have some pretty iconic quotes. If you read it, you've probably heard of like the fig analogy and the bell jar quote. I think that if you are planning on reading this, you should read up about the trigger warnings of this book first, and also to read it when you're in a good mental state. I feel like that's the best that I could describe it because it does deal with some pretty heavy themes. It follows a loose plot around Esther, who is a high-achieving English student who initially worked in New York for a bit as a junior editor. But a few things ended up occurring in her life which had led for her mental health to deteriorate. Now, being based in the 1950s, the protagonist addresses eternal struggle and feeling like she doesn't really fit with the current ideals of what a woman back then should be like, and she has described it as being inside of a bell jar. Do I have any quotes around that? If Mrs. Guinea has given me a ticket to Europe or around the world cruise, it wouldn't have made one scrap of difference to me, because wherever I sat, on the deck of a ship or a street cafe in Paris or Bangkok, I would be sitting under the same glass bell jar, stewing in my own sour air. I sank back in the grey plush seat and closed my eyes. The air of the bell jar wadded around me and I couldn't steer. I saw my life branching out before me like a green fig tree in the story. From the tip of every branch, like a fat purple fig, a wonderful future beckoned and winked. One fig was husband and happy home and children, and another fig was a famous poet, and another fig was a brilliant professor. I saw myself sitting on the crotch of this fig tree, starving to death. I couldn't make up my mind which of the figs I would choose. I wanted each and every one of them, but choosing one meant losing all the rest. As I sat there, unable to decide, the figs began to wrinkle and go black, and one by one they plopped to the ground at my feet. Man, even though that was kind of set in the 50s, I kind of completely understood some of the quotes that she had. I'm sure some of you guys do as well. I feel like while we're still young, especially when you're straight out of college, you kind of end up having this internal struggle of feeling like you need to have your life sorted out, and if you end up choosing the wrong thing, you're practically doomed. Although, as you may know, that's obviously not the case. The book also portrays how rough they've dealt with people who had mental health issues back then. But with that being said, I feel like the main protagonist wasn't really likable, and let's be honest, there were several instances of casual racism. I know that this book was, of its time and place, but at the same time, we should just acknowledge that, and if you want to read it, you should be aware of it. Since I'm a little bit of a mood reader, it's now kind of made me shift gears and I kind of want to read something a little bit more dark and sharp and a little unsettling. So I ended up picking this book, which is Ripe by Sarah Rose Etta. I saw this book being read by Melissa. Partially the reason why I got it was because the plot seemed to hit a little too close to home in terms of the character's circumstance based off of a person who's working in a tech corporate firm. I really like the cover of this. I also like how it has mixed in graphics, like for example she uses pomegranate analogy a lot. Also find the structure of this book quite interesting. The chapters seem quite short with only a few pages long each, so it almost makes me want to keep reading because of the fact that it's, you know, so short and it feels very digestible, and I can't wait to read more of it. Just one more. I think I might get a drink. Yeah. Whoa, it zooms so much.